Bonjour. So without a doubt, you know I love this time of the week. New comic book day. Now they're about a week old by the by the time I'm nearly a week old by the time I'm recording this, so I do apologise for being late, and I've got a really mixed bag. So I'm going to go right straight into it. So really, these are last week's comics, but where I've been reading them all, and there was a lot to read, they kind of put me behind because I kind of kept reading one good comic after another. Some were new, some were established, some were very established. There's a graphic novel here that's been out for donkey's years. So let's get straight into it. Continually enjoying this book. If you're not picking this up, if you're a horror fan or an Incredible Hulk fan, or anyway, that is a sensational mix of man things in it this month. So you can't go wrong, can you? Sean Murphy, issue 1, plot holes. Now I know this might be a bit. I might be a bit late to this one, but again, this was we're going to do a deep dive on this, and he's writing and drawing it. So obviously his art style is absolutely, for me, he's absolutely top notch. But his writing, yeah, didn't realise he'd be as nutty as that. More traditional fare, back to Marvel. This Werewolf by Night. If you saw the Disney Plus little short film they did, 54 minutes, I think it was. They really riffed off that, and Marvel seem to be getting the horror comics right at the moment. And they've made good use of Bloodstone in this one. Elsa Bloodstone, and the art and the black and white style of it, not all the way through, but just making the most of it, was really cool. Now there were 2 Batman books, right, this week, these 2. Now this one is kind of an Elseworlds. Yeah, it's kind of an Elseworlds, but not. And this one is the new launch of Batman and Robin, Bruce Wayne with his kid. And I'm going to do what I've decided to do. I'm going to show you that I've picked these up this week, and I will be discussing these 2. But I'm going to tell you what this prompted. The question in my mind it prompted is what I want out of Batman, the character. And spoiler alert, I'm going to say right off the bat, this isn't a bad comic, Batman and Robin. But it's a Batman for a new world, a new age. You know, he's a dad and he's all clean cut and shaven. This bad boy right here is gothic, dark, a murderous villain, a dirty Gotham. This is the one I want. That's a massive, I don't know why I've done that, because that's a massive spoiler alert, because I'm going to do a deep dive on these 2 in a separate video, because it deserves it, because I do bang on about this a lot, about what makes your favourite Batman. We done a whole video, myself and my old mate Space Lizard, we done an entire video on it. We went through the graphic novels. So you probably know that I would, if I was going to ask for a vote, it's always going to be that gothic, dark, gritty one. But I want to discuss the fact that they've released a comic book that, and there's nothing. Listen, Joshua Williamson, an old, I don't know, DeMaio. What's the first name on DeMaio? Simone DeMaio. Lovely artwork, beautiful. There is nothing wrong with this book except the fact that it's Batman light. That's what it is. It's Batman light, but can that find a new audience? I don't know. Is that what you want from Batman? I mean, Spider-Man's a light character, but I don't even like him being done light, to be fair. Anyway, let's get on with it. Now I know this is old. DSTLRY is the best word, is the best pronunciation for this new comic book company, DSTLRY. Now, I know I'm a bit late with this one, but you've got to bear with me, because it's a sci-fi anthology that is obviously a prelude to them launching several titles and stuff. I don't know which one of these are going to be. I don't know anything about it other than the fact that my old mate Paul, Comics and Fantasy in Hornchurch, Essex, he knows I like sci-fi and he knows I like an anthology. So this is a very good precursor. If this distillery, this new publisher, is going to do some of that, we'll have a look. And there's some nice names in there, some nice writers, some nice artists that have all kind of jumping on board because it's creator-owned stuff. So loving it for that. And we're going to have a little look. Because I picked it up this week, I cannot resist. This is what I meant earlier on about only maybe old crusties like me then. Richard Corbin, I don't know where modern viewers may have come across this artwork. I'm thinking of the Crooked Man, the Hellboy story that they're doing the latest film of. Other than that, I can't. There's probably a dozen Corbin stories where you might have come across his artwork, but it's weird and wonderful stuff. This is where we first broke into it, first come to prominence in Heavy Metal magazine many decades ago. The also rants. We're going to do deep dives and rattle on about them. You know what I'm like. I've got to give it large. I Hate Fairyland. You know I've got to every time it comes out. It's still a madcap story. Duncan the Dragon in this one. You know I had to flick through the comic to remember his name. But again, still a great collaboration with Scotty Young and Brett Bean. You know I get my beans wrong. Okay. This Dark Droid storyline continues to be a good romp through the Star Wars universe via a robot that wants to take over. Not only the robots, but the flesh now. I think he calls it the flesh or the meat. I think he calls it the meat. They, in modern parlance. This was the last issue of kind of like the second arc, like the second volume of this. And if you're going to get graphic novels, this is issue 8. I don't know why they couldn't wrap this story up a little bit quicker than this, I've got to admit. And I don't know how they're going to do this in graphic novel format unless they're going to wait for 12 issues and do it in a graphic novel. So if you're not really on board with this after 8 issues, it is really, again, Joshua Williamson, who's doing the Batman at the moment, and a couple of other bits. But he's going for it in this one. It's a dark tale about a fairground attraction that's just based on horror. You know, Disneyland for horror fans. I've been finding it, and I know I've done a deep dive on that before, so I won't go anywhere. Second issue of this. Oh, I'm really enjoying this. And if you enjoy your deconstructionist superheroes, you know, if you enjoy your Mark Millers and your you know what I'm like with names, but particularly Mark Miller, you're going to like that. J. Michael Straczynski doing a little take on the superhero genre. It's really good. It is really good. And this is always really good. You know that, guys. You know this. Darkwing Duck. He's after. He's helping his mate out. The sidekick. Oh, anyway, you know how much I gush about this. And he's got to team up with Gizmo Duck, which he doesn't like doing this week. To chase after Neptunia, to find their compass, so they can. And obviously, the hilarious Launchpad is the name of his pilot sidekick. And the last one, guys, Daredevil. Now, I bet you're wondering why. And this is a sensational cover by John Romita Jr., by the way. This sums up the Daredevil that I love. Look at that. All all day long. Daredevil fan for a million years since he, got a little statue there. Look, blah, blah, blah. I've got to run all the way back. I thought I'd put me, I don't know, you can see it. I thought I'd put that on in homage. As an issue 1 new launch, it's all right. It's Elektra's in it. There's a new kind of spiritual villain in it. But do you know what it is? It's more about the way that modern writers are going at the superhero genre. And I can't say that it's the wrong way, but for me, I just like, bring Kingpin back, or Kingpin's son, set him up as the villain, get him doing something to Matt, and get Matt going for it. Batman. Bring the Joker in or another villain in and get him to do. I mean, I know at the moment they're doing Catwoman, and that's providing quite a nice vein of intrigue. So I'm enjoying that. But anyway, before I waffle on any more, we're just going to do a quick, because I've kind of waffled on about a lot of books there. I'm sure there was one more. I don't know if it's Ultimate Invasion. Well, I've been all over the place the past 3 or 4. I do apologise. Do apologise to all you lot that kind of follow me every week-ish. I used to be right on the ball with it, but sorry I fell off the wagon the past month or so. So it's really all over the place. But let's talk about the good stuff. And I'm going to do a quick deep dive, so bear with me. Before I do the deep dive, thanks again to everyone who's subscribing, liking and commenting on it. And get back to me. Start getting back to me on what you might be that you are reading that I'm not. Come on, get back to me. So, or maybe I'm sharing my views on Daredevil issue 1, the new Saladin Ahmed writing it. I didn't particularly like the art style. It wasn't bad, just didn't suit Daredevil for me. But tell me why you're enjoying it. And as a long-time Daredevil collector, I'm going to stay with it because it does deserve a chance. I'm not saying that was a bad first issue. It was just a kind of, and it was, I'm sure it was double as well, double paged. $6.99, big double legacy numbering, 662. Bearing in mind, I go back to, I think the earliest issue I got is issue 4. I haven't got those first 3 issues yet, Anyway, did it need that to launch a new Daredevil? I don't think it did. Unless you're really gonna go for it, and that didn't really. But intriguing nevertheless. I'm going to stop waffling right there. I was midway thanking everyone for liking, commenting, and particularly you beautifully sexy nutters that subscribe. Love you all. You know I love you the most. I know you shouldn't pick your favourites, but I do. Join me after the scroll. Let's have a look at this. Okay, guys. Let's get going. Incredible Hulk. I know I've done this one. I might have done this. I don't know if this is every single issue I've done of this now. But here's a guy drowning his sorrows. This is no continuation from the issue before, but we are down in a mean and moody, like the rainy season down in those particular states in America, and how it evokes. He's obviously seeing the reason why he's hit the bottle and an accident that ensued, and he's down in the swampland. And this is even this little panel here, just with the frogs, that sets up the horror of what's going on in the Incredible Hulk at the moment. Now, this is obviously, you can see by the cover and you can see by the name of part 1, Man-Things in it, and they just don't shy away from it. I do really like this. I'm going to have to check his name out. Travel Foreman. He hasn't been doing the art in previous issues, but the way he does the rain and the clouds in this issue, and the characters, the new long-haired Bruce Banner and our new character we got here, I've just really enjoyed this. Like, it's almost like the start of the rainy season. clouds always in the background. And also, what I'm thinking now is, what an awesome colouring job. Sorry, I'm flicking back. Matthew Wilson. Kudos to you, mate, Matthew Wilson, for a fantastic colouring job on this story. Which basically leads to, well, I think we all know where this is going, and it leads to Ted Sallis and Man-Thing. And now we're being introduced to the guy who guards the nexus of realities. Now, I can't remember the last time I read Man-Thing. I do love the character. And up next is going to be Werewolf by Night, which, if anyone watched that on Disney Channel, Disney Plus, or Dismal Minus as I call it, again, nice art job. You will remember that he turned up in the Werewolf by Night in black and white. It's just nicely done. And I think Marvel should maybe concentrate on the horror stuff a little bit more, because they seem to be getting it right. And this is a lovely new take on the Hulk. Obviously, the Hulk is hulking out. And you've got Man-Thing done in a bit of a Swamp Thing kind of way. But I'm all up for that. Man-Thing was first, by the way. But these lovely horror elements in it, with these characters haunting her past, and Chinese past, and here we go, ending up with some kind of it's not Lovecraftian, is it? Yeah, it is some kind of Lovecraftian. Next issue, Lament of the Swamp Witch. So I guarantee you, issue 5 is going to be something that I rave about as well. Thoroughly recommend that. They're doing a good job. So on to the next one. So Werewolf by Night. Also, not the greatest. I can't say I'm the greatest fan of the cover artwork, but this is what I'm a fan of. This really did. The colour palette here, and listen, I know we're talking black and white, guys, but we're not, are we? We're talking brown, grey. A decision needed to be made about how they, and that's an opening. That's an opening for a horror comic. And then on to Elsa Bloodstone. I like the way they've dealt with the artist on this. I don't know if it's one of their first gigs or not. The credits aren't there, but some of the anatomy is a bit off. But the overall feel and tone of this comic, sometimes it's a bit crowded. This isn't the best comic, but I just thoroughly enjoyed it. Oh, Frangalan, that rhymes. This was all nicely done. I mean, Derek Landy's done a nice job on the writing. I do enjoy his writing, especially when he's doing the horror stuff. And then back to the black and white again when we're talking about the Werewolf by Night. And it's all the gothic horror stuff, like I say, the Lovecraftian stuff. And then we're back to the modern day stuff with Elsa Bloodstone. And then this was just such a nicely handled moment where it's an old flame. Jack Russell and Elsa Bloodstone have got a history. How they dealt with it. And again, fair play to the letterer who's doing, this narration is from two characters, like we're hearing their voices within the different colours and the styles of the narration. So that was another nice job. I should give them a shout out, I should at least really make notes of some of these creators sometimes. But the letterer on this bad boy is, where they all gone? Joe Sabino. So, and again, just that page, because they've got enough space now where they've got no advertising in Marvel or DC Comics. They've got the space to do this kind of this lightning strike and give you the credits. But anyway, Derek Landy, Fran Gallant and Joe Sabino made this thoroughly enjoyable, even if he's not the most accomplished artist, Fran Gallant. Again, this Lovecraftian horror, a little bit Hellboyish maybe, just a tiny bit. Nothing wrong with that. Where it just struck me that she is the modern age kind of Marvel superheroine, taken to just within an inch of annoyance. But this was a good romp. And the way they do everything else in black and white except her, because she even comments on the fact that she's a redhead in an orange suit at the beginning of it. Yeah, really did enjoy it. There's enough horror aplenty, not gore, which sometimes when they, you know, as he turns the page and there's gore, but it isn't full on. It isn't full on. You got over a shotgun, in with his claws. Look, now they've done a little swap. And, you know, he has to throw the gun back to her because obviously that's not his forte. Very, very enjoyable. And the next one, I know I don't often do this, like that's the end. So I don't know why they put an issue 1 on it. Crypt of Shadows. This looks great. This looks absolutely great. And if Derek Landy's writing it, I recommend that as well already. But I don't know why you'd put an issue 1 on it. Just do Werewolf by Night and give it the title, just to sell that. Bit unnecessary. Right, massive publications like Whatnot and all the rest of them. They're hit and miss is the best way to describe. But I'd rather see these guys hit and miss, to be fair. So this is written and illustrated by Sean Murphy, whose work on the future Batman stuff. I don't know whether it's Batman Beyond or the White Knight, whatever it was, whatever they call it, all different kind of names now. And these two on the colouring, Matt Holly, these are two stalwarts. These are veterans of the colouring, but you will see how beautifully they all work together. And the basic story, we haven't got a clue what's going on here with all they're introducing all of these new characters. And like I said about the colouring, you can see why there's 2 of them on it, because it's beautiful. How Sean Murphy has knocked this out, as well as he's got other titles pending as well, I do not know, but I'm glad he has. I'm glad he has introduced all these new characters. Now this title is called Plot Holes. I'm not getting the full SP from issue 1. But what these characters are basically trying to do under this character's tutelage is basically stop plot holes in literature. And this guy, who's obviously the audience's eyes, we're going to follow him through his story. All these different characters from different other pieces of literature, not established, by the way. These are all created. These are all like in Sean Murphy's head. So we haven't. This isn't like a League of Gentlemen where Alan Moore has stolen from Victorian literature. These are all brand new creations. I'm trying to think of the DC Vertigo story. Joe. What was it called? Sorry guys, I'm looking through the graphic novels. I don't know if it's going to be up there, Joe. Oh, and it was a British writer. I don't know if it weren't. Oh, anyway, I'm going to stop rambling. This reminds me of that retro kind of feel, you know, the kid out of Sync, the mother figure, and all the crazy brothers and sisters. So this is really going to work well. Although I'm not 100%, you know, stuff like this is cool. Although I'm not 100% clear on exactly how this is going to work, I do like the setup at the moment that they can romp between. This is the thing that's kind of interfering where it shouldn't within the literary space. So all these stories exist in some other multiverse, and you know how much I hate it. But anyway, I think it's Sean Murphy's artwork, and to get some of his artwork in black and white, I know I've said it before, You know, we're in some kind of Transformers story now, although they can't call it that. This issue 1 really cracked along. Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it. Great characters that you want to see more of, you know, for an issue 1. You know, just want to see, and he's doing this one as well, just quickly as an aside. And look at his artwork on this as well. I've got to show, look, wow. God, just love this guy's artwork, I've got to say. You know, it gets even more, no, I don't think it's his artwork on that. What am I talking about? Hold on. Is it his artwork on that? Yeah. Anyway, back to plot holes. You just want to find out more about all of these characters, even this kind of stuff there. You know, it sets up issue 2 with, you know, there's at least half a dozen books that are going to end up in trouble if they allow this alien thing, this rotten thing to get between the, you know. So it's all about the, look at these character designs by Sean Murphy. I cannot get enough of this guy's artwork, I've got to say. Little bit of an Electra thing going on there. She's a vampire from French romance novels. Love it. You know, you've got to have a bit of that, just got to have a bit of everything in this stuff. So again, thoroughly enjoyed that. Now the Devil's Cut, I don't know firstly if it will fit on the, yeah, I think it will just about fit, but there's not really a lot. But look at the list of guys and girls that are involved. Obviously the standouts are James Tinian, Mirka Andolfo, who's, I think it was, I don't know where, Jock, Brian Azzarello, you know, Edward Rizzo, Scott Snyder, Ram V, who's been on Detective Comics. There's some good stuff here, but it's pointless me. This is an anthology. So as a Brit who grew up on 2000 AD and War Comics and even the old Marvel reprints, the Marvel reprints would be anthology. So you'd get a bit of Daredevil, you get a bit of Captain America, and then you get a bit of Hulk in one issue. So I suppose that's where my love of anthologies has come from. I've just grown up with them. But obviously you can see that they are 3 to 6 pages or 3 to 8 pages of just different little vignettes. This art by Joel Jones. I really did. I think this is stunning. Stunning artwork. I love it. And that's what I like from anthology. You can go from something you just don't like to something you absolutely love. And Mirka, and we're back to Mirka and Dolfo, is it? Oh yeah, get me. With this tale, which is only 5 pages long, but I don't know whether that's a setup to, it says the end, ... question mark down there, if you can see it. So I don't know if that means this is this will lead into a little ongoing. This is Jock's short story set in a post-apocalyptic world. You know, as only Jock can do it. With this character looking for food. I just really enjoyed it, and Azzarello and Rizzo doing something completely different and off the wall. I didn't really understand. Sorry, I didn't really understand. Oh, I end. No wonder I can't find the rest of the story. But yeah, you wouldn't understand it if I showed you the rest of the story anyway. The only other one I say the only other one I know I enjoyed that. I more or less enjoyed most of these. Ram V's one. Now, I did enjoy this, and it tackles all of the classic sci-fi trope issues of the day that we want in good for me in good sci-fi. This Chula Lotte. Now I did review a Dark Horse comic called Barnstormers that she'd written, and in conjunction with Scott Snyder, and done the artwork for. So again, love her stuff. And at the back, you know, this is just, I love this kind of stuff, this kind of artwork. I don't know if you can see that properly without the glare on that. And this is the stuff from Barnstormers that I like, Chula Lote's artwork. And this is one of the longest stories in the book, but I don't know, I really, really like her style, and I apologise if this is all falling about. Sorry about that, guys. But it's just to give you a little feel for her artwork. I think it's great. So, I thoroughly recommend Devil's Cut. I mean, it says here 11 unfiltered stories from all these creators, and DSTLRY is the publisher. So I don't know what's coming. I can honestly say that pure sci-fi. So for that reason, I love it. And just before we go, guys, I cannot go without showing you all, if you've never seen Richard Corbin's artwork before, and I'm sure you would have come across it at some point or another somewhere. Richard Corbin's artwork, then this is your. But to be fair, I think this book is already. That's the classic panel. I think it's already out of, or not out of print, but out of circulation, or whatever you want to call it. Sorry, there's so much glare on that. But that's the classic panel. That one right there. They used to use that a lot, I think, in heavy metal and stuff. So yes, this was just, and this is another one as well. I'm not sure if Epic Comics, this is 1975. And basically our main hero, Den, is naked the whole way throughout. Which was the first time it's been done. Yeah, I don't know if I should put what you know, I don't know. Blur it all out. I haven't got enough fingers and thumbs, I don't think. That's what she said. But anyway, you can see the vibrancy of this guy. Richard, like I say, if you've never heard of Richard Corbin before, go and search out Richard Corbin and his mad artwork. He's done plenty for Marvel. I'm trying to think if he'd done a Hulk. Oh, really should have looked it up before I'd done this video. Sorry, guys, you know I don't do that. Just anyway, you've got all the facilities available, haven't you, to search Richard Corbin. But imagine this in 1975. You know, this was nearly 50 years ago. He was doing this, and this was wild. This was as wild as you're going to get. He come from the underground comics kind of area, and again, well, this was in heavy metal, so it wasn't exactly mainstream comics. Although that was heavy metal was getting mainstream. You know, this kind of mad. It's proper mad stuff. Anyway, so I won't flick through this entire. It was just to give you a taste of Richard Corbin and this book being out, and fair play to I don't think is this Dark Horse doing this. Yeah, it is. Fair play to Dark Horse doing that. That won't be a cover of the week because obviously I don't think anyone's going to be attracted to a graphic novel just by that. And I know I didn't do a deep dive. I said I was going to do it in another video, but I've got to include these two, haven't I? These two releases as cover of the week. Like, do they sell the comic? Do we really need it explaining? I don't know. I still love these In Hook Lee covers for Red Goblin. It's getting a little bit. The comic is getting maybe just a tiny little bit dragged out, but other than that, I am still enjoying it. But I think that's just something that, you know, these storylines just have to be dragged out, I suppose. The madness. I love the comic. That's a cover. with the title and the cover, and on the same par, you know, Dark Ride. Now, if this don't explain blood running down her face and these characters behind her, I don't know what. As always, Marvel and Star Wars stuff do exactly what it says on the tin. You want him on the cover. What's going on with his arm? Yeah, it's all kicking off. Now that's a superhero cover. John Romita Jr. You can't. I don't know whether you can beat that or not to sell a Daredevil comic. The boots are right, the outfit's right, the pose is right. I'm not so sure about that. The Billy Club, the Kane bit. That's the only bit that spoils it, to be fair. I'm not so sure if that's just looks like an add-on. I'd rather just seen the two clubs and without this silly bit. And that. Oh, come on, Hulk versus Man thing. If that doesn't tell you exactly what's on the tin inside, then I don't know what. So peeling it away from the horror stuff, you know, as action-packed as that is, Batman and Robin, that I think an issue 1 of Batman and Robin is going to sell all day long. I mean, Darth Vader, yeah, the horror stuff, between these two, but I'm going to discuss. I prefer this, but will it sell a comic? I don't think so. Not in the old-fashioned sense on the spinners, and I don't think. Well, I don't know. That is a dynamic pose, but it doesn't really do a lot. But it's in the rain. The trouble is buying this one. None of this happens in the comic. He doesn't crouch there in the rain at all. It's just an illustration by John Romita Jr., which I'm 100% up for all day long. He could draw every comic to every cover to every comic, and I'll be happy. I can't help thinking that is the one. This for me, you know, would spoil a little bit, but I'm going to get into the fact that this is aimed at a younger audience, which is a shame in a way, but they've obviously aimed it at an audience, and it's not a bad comic. But I will say, I've got to give that cover of the week, because if you want to sell a Batman and Robin comic, I mean, they've kind of gone over the top, haven't they? To sell it to all ages. He's grim. He's got a grin. I'm going to give it to Batman and Robin #1. Let me know if you disagree, guys. Tell me what you thought your favourite comic of the week was. Just from the point of view of spinning comics around on those displays when you were a kid, and what would have made you spend your limited amount of pocket money on one of these comics. And on that note, until next time, I will bid you all adios.